What's going on, everyone? So it's no secret the Los Angeles Lakers are struggling mightily, right? And one of the big reasons is D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reaves. These are two guys that are expected to just be consistent go-to guys for the Lakers throughout the season, and neither of them have been that, right? We have yet to have a game where both guys show up. Now, hopefully it's on the horizon and maybe they kind of right the ship. It is only 8 games, so there's still plenty of time for these two to kind of figure it out and get back to what they were last season, which is what we need, right? The idea was that, like, hey, these two guys could go give you, 35 to 40 points a game collectively. Not individually, but collectively, right? Like Reaves go give you 20 to 25 on any given night. D'Lo could go give you 20 to 25 on any given night. And the other one gives you, 15 to 20 on any given night, right? Like that was the idea. Their efficiency, their effectiveness on the ball, off the ball, all of those things were supposed to be a real piece for the Lakers this year. And we've had games where Reaves goes and gets you 20 to 25. We've had games where D'Lo gives you 20 to 25. But we haven't had it to where they both are giving you that efficiency. It's like D'Lo goes and gives you 25 and Reaves gives you like 7 on like 2 of 9 shooting or something like that, right? And that's the problem. And on top of that, the lack of defense is a real problem with this backcourt, right? Because D'Lo's been good. He's been serviceable. He's been much better than he's been in the past, but he's not elite, right? He's not this like elite point of attack guard that can just lock down and defend. And then Reaves has basically been an open door. Like Reaves has been so bad defensively, I don't even think he can guard me, right? Let alone NBA players. He's been really bad defensively. And so it just has this huge weakness. And the one thing that you usually have to offset that is that they're super efficient in shooting the basketball and they could go and kind of offset their lack of defense. Well, when they're not doing that, you have what you got with the Lakers, which is they're just bad right now, right? And the problem is I don't see these two necessarily working the way that we need them to, because they both kind of fill the same role. They both kind of want to do the same thing. They both are in many ways very similar players. Like I think Reaves is better at some stuff. Like I think Reaves is a little more crafty. But I think D'Lo is like a better playmaker and he's been better defensively. But both guys are struggling to shoot the basketball, right? Both of these guys were 40+% last season shooting the 3 ball. And there are 2 of our 3 highest volume 3-point shooters this season. You got Austin Reaves shooting 28%, and you got D'Angelo Russell shooting 32%, which is the highest of them, but still, like, that's terrible. To go from nearly 42% last year, it was like 41.5 or something like that, to now shooting basically 10% less, it's not going to get it done. And so I just think we're getting to the point where it's going to very likely be inevitable that one of these two are going to have to be traded. I don't see them trading Austin Reaves. I just think Austin Reaves is more understanding, more flexible, right? If at any point you have to bring him off the bench, I think he would kind of embrace it and accept it if need be. I think he plays off of LeBron better, and he's more proven in the playoffs, right? So if Reaves can kind of get back to being Reaves, I think that he kind of gives you a little more value than D'Lo would. But I really like D'Angelo Russell. Don't get me wrong. I like D'Lo a lot. I just don't think that you can have him with Austin Reaves. Now, I think you move Austin Reaves to the bench, personally. But even then, if that happens, it's like, if you can turn D'Lo into something that is a better fit, that fixes some more of those holes that the Lakers have, because the Lakers clearly have some holes, I just think that that's the best approach for the Lakers. And, I mean, look, D'Lo getting traded is something that has been talked about since they re-signed him because of the contract he signed, as well as them convincing him to waive his no-trade clause. So it was one of those things where it just seemed to be inevitable that he's going to get traded at some point this season. And so I just see the likelihood getting more and more likely. Now, maybe when we're fully healthy and Jared Vanderbilt's back, right? Because Jared Vanderbilt kind of offsets a lot of the issues that Reeves and D'Lo provide the Lakers. But also last year, Reeves he wasn't great defensively, but he was at least serviceable enough to have an impact on that side of the basketball. He hasn't been this season. I don't know if it's tired legs from playing the FIBA or what, but I just think you're going to have to trade one of these at some point. Even if they both figure it out. Like, let's say they both figure it out and they're both 20-point-a-game scorers and, right, everything's clicking for them. I still think if you can you don't just trade D'Lo to trade him. That's not what I'm saying here. But I do think that even if they both start figuring it out, I think that just raises D'Lo's trade value and you look to move him for the right package. Now, obviously, DeMar DeRozan is kind of like the big name in the headlines. We've talked about him heavily here. I personally love the idea of not just DeMar, but you got to go if you get DeMar, you got to go get Alex Caruso and Andre Drummond. You get Alex Caruso, Andre Drummond, and DeMar DeRozan. Those three guys fix not everything, but almost everything. You get a sizable center that you could throw at big bodies, that could start or come off the bench, excellent rebounder, a guy that could be a lob threat. He's been one of the best backup big men, if not the best backup big men in the league the last few years since he's kind of accepted and embraced that role. Alex Caruso gives you that big point of attack guard that just can elevate your defense better, right? And he's better defensively than both D'Lo and Austin Reeves. We know that he plays well off of LeBron. Doesn't really give you the shooting that D'Lo gives you, but you're getting more than just Alex Caruso. And then DeMar DeRozan gives us that go-to consistent scorer, a guy that you can clock to play 70 games a year, right? Which is good because LeBron and AD are going to very likely miss 20-plus games this year. He also gives you something that the Lakers need desperately, and that is a more natural scorer and some over-the-top shooting, which DeMar is excellent at, right? So something like that, I think, makes a world of sense for the Lakers. You don't lose your depth. If anything, you're adding depth. You're doing like a 2 or 3 for 3 swap. Maybe you're doing a 4 for 3 swap, but still, you still maintain plenty of depth and versatility. Now, obviously, the idea of like a Kyrie Irving or something like that, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be like another star. Like DeMar DeRozan is the guy that makes sense because Chicago's at some point very likely going to start selling off parts of the ship, right, and kind of rebuild. And DeMar DeRozan, he can become a free agent next year, so they're not going to want to lose him for nothing. So my guess is that I think DeMar is the most likely to be traded to the Lakers. He wants to be a Laker. Even though he would be a free agent, you don't have the risk of him leaving. He wants to be in LA. He thought he was going to LA after the San Antonio stint, and it didn't happen. So if you trade for him, you're going to be able to re-sign him. He may even take a hometown discount, and you could pay him something, like $20 million a year or whatever, and basically just swap him with D'Lo's money. I mean, he's only making $28.5 million this year, so not making some. So I get the idea of D'Lo or of DeMar DeRozan, but it doesn't necessarily have to be DeMar DeRozan. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a star, right? If we can kind of consolidate some of these guys into more need type players, right? Like obviously. Like, if we could turn, like, today, which not going to happen, because we can't even make a trade till December 15th. But just using this as an example, right? Like, if today we could go and trade D'Lo and Rui for, like, Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, I'd do that right this second, no questions asked, not even a thought. Because those guys fix so much of what the Lakers need, right? Problem is that Indiana is playing really good basketball right now, and they're number 1 in the league in offense. So I don't see them starting to ship guys off, right? But that idea of like, okay, it doesn't necessarily need to be a star, right? Like, and you could do multiple trades, right? So like the Pelicans want to unload Valanciunas. Now, Valanciunas doesn't give you the defense and shooting that Miles Turner does, but he does give you that big body center. Like if you can get him for like dirt cheap, right? And you don't even have to like trade D'Lo for that. But like if you could just get him dirt cheap and then, you know, go and get some defensive 3-and-D style wing, like, you know, a Saddiq Bey, right? Because he's probably not going to get a new contract. Could you get somebody like that? Again, like instead of like one mega deal or something along those lines or trading for another star, can you just get some pieces, use D'Lo and Rui or Vincent or whomever, right? And just kind of upgrade in bigger needs. You know, maybe go get a better point of attack guard or something like that, right? Like those are things that I think the Lakers could do that doesn't sell the farm. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a star. Now, if the right deal is there for a star, you do it, right? Again, if you could get DeMar for, if you could get DeMar, Alex Caruso, and Andre Drummond for D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and like a first and a pick swap or something like that, I think you do that. I think you do that immediately, right? Because you're getting so much of a need. You're getting that other star, but on top of getting that other star, you're getting two sort of upgraded rotation guys that fix a bigger hole and a bigger problem, right? You get some more perimeter defense. You get a point of attack guy in Alex Caruso to pair with Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like you could have a closing lineup if you needed to. Like if you needed to stop at the end of the game, right? Imagine like Alex Caruso, Jared Vanderbilt, why not Cam Reddish? He's been excellent defensively in his size and versatility, right? And like Taurean Prince or something like that. You know, obviously throw out like LeBron out there, AD, right? Like you could kind of mix and match guys. Like I said, instead of Cam Reddish, maybe you go with Prince and just have like a more defensive unit out there to just get a stop. That would be fantastic, right? That would be great to have. And then just Alex Caruso and Jared Vanderbilt out on the perimeter, just stop. Like that just defensive onslaught would be tough. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a Kyrie or anything like that. Again, if we can, right? If Kyrie becomes available and we can get him for like D'Lo and a first or something. I mean, you have to have more salary than that, but essentially like D'Lo and a first. But then yeah, sure, do that immediately. But I don't think I think D'Lo is gonna end up being the odd man out, right? I mean, there's already reports coming out that the Lakers have already made calls about looking to acquire a third star. And D'Lo is the most likely to be traded, right? Like you're trading D'Lo before you're trading anyone else, right? If you have to trade D'Lo, or if you have to trade Rui or Vincent or any of these other guys on top of D'Lo, then you do it. But the first like piece that you're putting out there is D'Angelo Russell. And again, I like D'Lo a lot, right? Like if we didn't have Reeves, I think D'Lo would be better, right? Because then he doesn't have to kind of defer. I just think the two of them are clashing too much. And you don't have that balance with the two because they're too similar of a player. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think, yeah, it's inevitable D'Lo is very likely to be traded? Do you think he's not? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. I appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.